The following is a solution to the MIS Capstone Assignment Spring 2019. The requirement document specifies that you create a student database with 3 tables: profile, courses, and employment. We're going to be using Microsoft SQL Server to solve the assignment, and like any other thing you're going to do in software development, a little planning would help a lot. So let's just um, sketch out what we need to do. So we're going to use Microsoft Excel in order to do our design. As usual, I always tell you Excel is just good enough for us because they it already has the grid ruled out, and so we can make use of that layout. So in our student database there's going to be 3 tables. So let's mark all this out and merge and say this is our student database. I'm assuming the fact that everything is in caps, the database is also going to be in caps when we implement it in Microsoft SQL Server, which is the relational database management system that we're going to be using. So we have the student database, and then the first table is called profile. So let's merge profile. The next table is called courses. So courses. And then I think the final one is employment. Okay. Now, this table would have the the name of the attributes, then the data type and the nullability. So for every table in your database, there are 3 characteristics that describe that table. The first is the name of the attributes. So I'm just going to put it as name. Then the data type. This tells you what type of data is going to be residing in that attributes. Remember, from your logical phase, the attributes, they become the column. Okay, so when I say attributes, I mean column. So just know that I'm going to be using those 2 words interchangeably, but realize that I'm calling it attribute because it's a carryover from your design phase. Every attribute automatically becomes the column. All right, so you have the name of that attribute, the data type, the type of data that the attribute is going to have. So we're talking about things like, is it going to be numbers? Is it going to be alphabets? Is it going to be like a yes, no, or true or false? There are so many types of attributes. We will cover them in our class as we go on. But for the benefit of this assignment, just realize that the data type signifies what type of data will reside inside the attribute. And then we have the nullability. It just tells you at the time that we will be implementing data entry into this table, into any of these 3 tables, what the nullability tells you is would we be required to enter data into that column or not? So what we're saying is the column a required field? If it's a required field, then it's going to be a not null nullability. If it's a non-required field, then it can have a null. All right. So nullability, it can either be not null or it can be null. All right. When we say null, we mean we don't know what the value is going to be. But if we will always know, or if it is always required that we provide a value for that field as at the time we are entering data into the table, then we must um, say that the nullability is not null. All right. So the profile table. The first thing is, it says each table must have a primary key. In the profile table is ID. Okay, so the first attribute is ID. Do not use your real T number for ID. Instead, follow the format with a 4-digit number following the letter T. Okay, so we can say that for this guy, we can have a comment that says that it's always going to be T followed by 4 numbers. So that will be, let's say, T0001 and so on and so forth. So the data that's going to be in the first row is going to be T0001, then followed by all that all the way down, as much as the profile will allow. Okay, so that's it. So it's an alphanumeric. For right now, just take my word for it. It's going to be a I'm going to use I'm going to use I'm going to use a Unicode data type. Again, I would explain that in our class, but for right now, just take my word for it. We're going to be using Unicode. All right, so nchar, and we have 5. All right, so we're going to implement it as nchar 5. Because it's a primary key, it must contain value, so it's going to be not null. All right, so that's the first attribute. Now, were we given the other attributes? Here the assumption is that you would use the primary key as the ID and use the data type of alphanumeric. By definition, the primary key must be unique and should be defined as not null. Okay, again, that just goes to the fact that are we going to be providing data when we enter data into that column or not. For primary keys, you must always enter a data value at data entry time. So that is why it is not null. A primary key is always required. All right, so the profile table fields in order are, so I'm going to be copying what you have in your assignment. So the first one is fname. Fname. For fname, we are going to have a nvarchar. Again, all these things might not mean anything to you right now, but just take my word for it. We will cover everything in class. So it will be nvarchar, and let's say it's not null. All right, what's the middle initial? Mi. Let's use an n. If we want to constrain people to just put in one value for their middle initial, let's assume that your name is Kennedy. It's Kennedy. That's your first name. And then let's just assume that your middle initial is O, right? If we want to constrain people to always enter one value for the middle initial, like O, right, without any other thing, just one, just the first letter of the middle initial, then we are going to implement that as a data type of nchar 1. So that will constrain people to just write one as their one value for their middle initial, and then you don't have people writing, let's say the O means Osmond, you don't write people writing Osmo or OS or anything. We want to constrain them to just the first letter of their middle initial, so we implement it as nchar1. Okay, now that's not a required field. Some people have, some people don't have middle initial, so we're going to say it's nullable. Okay, we're just going to say it's nullable, not nullability. Null, it's just null. Null means I want null, I don't want nullability. All right, Mr. Computer. Okay, so middle initial, L name, last name, for all intents and purposes is going to be the same thing as the first name. So I'm just going to copy and paste that there. What else do we have? Street. Let's just use I'm going to use an nchar of 50 for field. Just saying, give me 50 characters. Street. I want the street to be not nullable too, because I want them to always put in their street. I want to know where they reside. City. I'm going to borrow this and I'm going to use city as the same thing. Really, I want to know the profile. I want to actually know where they reside. Let's assume that it's not required and you would rather the profile be a not required field. It's just going to be nullable. Okay, that's the difference. But I'm saying that in this application, I want to know where the profile of these people putting their data in profile. I want to know where they reside. Maybe we're going to be sending them mails, regular mails or things like that. All right, so your business requirement will determine what these values are. State, again, I want them to just put the 2 letters of state. So like Virginia, VA, Texas, TX. So I'm going to implement it as nchar 2. Okay, and also it's not nullable. State, then phone. Okay, phone. I'm going to implement phone. It's going to be alphanumeric. I'm going to say nvarchar of 10. Okay. All right. Or let me just say nvarchar 15 for people that want to put dashes or parentheses. A whole lot of people, they write their phone number weirdly, right? Some people do this: 919 552 3311. Okay. For them, if you count it 1, 2, 3, count the hyphen also with it: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's 12. If we had used 10, then they couldn't input their phone number with an nvarchar of 10. That's why I increased it to 15. Some people even do this. Some people use parentheses, you know. So that's why I increased it to 15. Okay. Now this is nullable, you know. Maybe some people don't have phones. Who knows? All right. So um well, the requirement says all fields except ID could be null. Okay. Excuse me. They've given us that leeway that all fields except ID could be null. So again, if you decide to make all from here down, if you decide to make everything null, then that's fine. But I'm saying that the reason I'm making the first name and the last name. I want to know what their name is. The street, city, and state. I'm assuming we're going to be sending them some form of regular mail, so I want it to be a required field in case your professor asks you to defend why you made it not null. All right, those are the things you're going to tell them. All right, so let's move on. The courses table fields in order are CRN. So courses, CRN. Oh, we're going to do the same thing with courses. So let's just use this. Just name data type nullability. All right, maybe I should just do this. And then bold it. All right, and do the same thing with this guy too. Okay, seems we're good. All right, so for this, and then just for good measure, you could just use for your ID field, you could just paint it blue so that it just specifies that that's the primary key. Okay, it's not required, but it's good to just have. So for courses, it says the courses table is CRN, CDOM, CNAME, days, time, room. Okay. The primary key is CRN, so let's go ahead and paint it blue. Primary key is CRN. The employment fields in order are, okay, we'll come and worry about this data type later. But let's go to employment. The employment fields in order are emp ID, emp name, emp address, emp city, emp st, thinking state, emp st, emp phone. Okay, you see that for the emp phone, I'm going to use the same as the profile. I'm going to use the same thing for the data type and the nullability. But then in the employees field, I want it to be a required field. I'm assuming I want to know the phone number of my employee. I want that to be not null. All right, emp ID, I'm thinking is the primary key. Emp ID, I'm thinking that is the primary key. Okay, if we can just format that. All right, and the data type, hold on, let me keep reading. Emp city, yep, properly define the types and length of all fields. Populate each table with the with at least 10 entries. Okay, so we weren't given for the courses, we weren't given a clue as to what the data type is, but we'll figure that out. For the rest, for the state, I'm going to use the same data type, Okay, I'm gonna use for city, I'm gonna use the same data type. For address, the profile does not have an address. Okay, for address, I'm just going to use the street name. I'm going to use the street stuff for that. But then, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make these ones, I'm going to make them nullable. Okay, I'm just going to make them nullable. I'm not concerned. I'm not concerned about. What I'm saying is I'm going to make it non-required, but I require to have the phone for the employee, so I'm going to make that this. For this, it's going to be nvarchar, and I'm going to make this 200 because right now, for the emp name, is going to the way it's designed, it has to contain the first name, the last name, and the middle initial. So I'm going to give it a lot of space, and then I'm going to make this not nullable. At least I would like to know the name of the employee. All right, so it's a required field. Now, the emp ID, since we are not giving anything, I'm just going to go ahead and make this an integer, and then it's not nullable because it's the primary key. Okay, then let's go figure out the courses. The CRN, I don't know what these abbreviations mean. CRN, CNOM, CNAME. For the CNOM, it looks like it's kind of an integer. Um, I'm going to first CRN. I'm going to make it an integer also, and it's not null. It's the primary key. Primary keys are required. Okay. So the C name, I'm going to make it a varchar 200 because it seems like it's the name of something. I'm going to make it a varchar 200. The days, maybe Monday, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. I really don't know, but I'm going to make this I'm just going to go on a limb and make it a date. And I will make it nullable. Okay. Then time, there's a time data type. So I'll make it nullable too. The room, I'm going to make that an nvarchar. An nvarchar, let's just say 25. Okay, I'm making nullable too. That leaves us with the CNUM. I'm just going to go on a limb. Course number. Course number. Um, really, I am. You know what? I'm just going to make this course number. So we're saying things like CSC 205. So I'm going to make this an nvarchar and say nvarchar 10. So maybe we are talking about, and I will make it null. No, I'll make it not null because it seems if it's the course number, I'm thinking things like CSC 101 or something like MTH 101 and so I'm going to make that, I'm going to make it non a a variable character Unicode. Okay, so I think we have the design ready. Let's just make it look a little bit pretty. So this is the design. Oops, it's fat fingered that one. Alright, so this is the design, and for our three tables. So now that we have this, we're just going to go into the relational database management system, and then just plug this in. Okay, so the remaining part of the assignment says that um, populate each table with at least 10 entries. Next step is to connect these tables using join command to create additional tables that convey the information that a student is taking some course and the student employer has one of the MPID that you have used. Thus, you should create two additional tables using join command. Choose the suitable names for the join indicating what they do. Okay, but let's just go get this implemented first. We'll deal with the joins when we get there. Okay, so let's open up Management Studio. Again, I tell you, Management Studio is the graphical user interface that allows you to work with the database software itself. Okay, so yesterday um, you installed the SQL Server and then installed Management Studio. Management Studio is what's going to help you um, connect with the server. So the way it is right this, you get to the connect to server, make sure it's database engine. This is not the one I want to use. This is my cloud server. So I'm going to change it to my main server, the server that is on the computer, which is the same thing I want you to use. Yours would also be the name of your computer. This is the name of my own computer. Make sure that it's Windows authentication. Make sure that it's your name that is right here as your connecting logon. I've gone through how to connect to Database Management Studio in one of the videos, so you should have it. So you click connect. You connect to your server and you see the Object Explorer right here on the left. Alright, what we want to do, there are two ways to go about implementing this design. The first way is to use this graphical user interface. That's what we are going to use. And the other way is to use code. Okay. So everything you're going to be doing in database development, you can use the graphical user interface for it, and then you can write the code. Okay. I'll show you how to use the user interface and generate the code. I'll show you how to do that, but eventually you should get confident enough to be able to write the code by yourself. All right. So the first thing we are going to do is create a database called step number 1. Let's just say that's what we're told to do per the requirement. So let me make this bigger. Okay, so step 1, create student database. So let's go do that. You come to the node that says databases. Alright, you right click that node. Once you right click it, you see an option saying new database. You need to click that new database. Once you click that new database, it brings you to the new database pane. All you just have to do is write the name of the database you are creating. In our case, based on our design, if you remember, based on our design, our database name is called student. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and write that name right now. Okay, so bring back my friend. Alright, so just key in students. As you are writing in students, you look below in the database file, you see that the names are being created for you where I'm hovering my mouse as you write the name right here. Alright, so just students, leave the owner as default, right? Sometimes you could put SA, but just leave it as default for right now. And then you see that it has given you two files, this logical name and then the log file. All right. You see, it tells you that this is the data file and this is the log file. We'll talk about all that later. All right. So right now, if we click OK, we would have created the student database. But again, I told you that I will show you how to script it out and write the code for it. So once you fill this out and you make sure that it's it's what you want, just accept all the defaults. Come to this bar here that says script. Click the arrow, the caret, the black arrow on the right side, and say script action to clipboard. Alright, so just script the action to clipboard. You could script the action to a new query window, that's fine. In fact, let's go ahead and do that. If you script it to a clipboard, then you can go to a query window and right click it. But let's let the computer do it for us. So script action to new query window. You see that if you minimize this, it's gone ahead and create all this code for you. Okay, it's gone ahead and create all this code. Part of the code is something that says create database, and then it's gone ahead and giving you all the code right here. So this is the code that eventually we are going to be writing. Alright, so let's go back. Now you can come here and just click execute. You can click execute right here. It will create your database. But since we are using the graphic user interface, let me continue with that. It's the same thing. Let me continue with that, and then just click OK. Goes ahead and creates your database. If you open the database node, you'll find out that you now have your new database. If for any reason you don't see your new database after clicking the OK button, just come to the database node, right click the database node, and just click refresh. Then you will see your student's database. All right, so we've done step number 1. Now we have to come into the student database and create our 3 tables. Okay, so now you have we have the student database created. Now we need to create our 3 tables: profile, courses, and employment. Okay, so let's go ahead and get that done. So you click the plus sign beside the student database to go inside the student database. You expand that, and then you see a couple of more nodes: database diagram, tables. Tables is what we want to create. Okay, so just right click that table node and say new table. Alright, it gives you your new table. In your new table, you will see that there are 3 fields, just like the fields that we had when we did our design. You have name, data type, nullability. Okay, the same thing, column name, data type, allows null. All right, allows null. If you click the box here, allows null will be nullable. So this is allows null true or false. All right, if you click the box, it means you are saying true. So allow nulls, yes. So let's just plug in our design. We already have it. We don't need to worry about it again. I'm just going to be copying and pasting it. So the first one is ID. Control C, Control V. Okay, it's not working. So the first one is ID. You tab. Oh my goodness. ID how many times? Let's go remove all this. Let me remove everything. So all we just have to do now is to follow our design document. Okay, so you can see, I'm going to put it down here, ID. Okay, we are saying that the data type is nchar 5. Right now it's nchar 10. So all we just need to do is to click the drop down, and we want it to be 5, right? So just come into the parentheses, highlight the 10 in the parentheses, and just write 5. All right, that is it. Right now, we said it's not null, right? It's not null, okay? So if it says allows null, no, we don't want it to be null. So that is, we have to uncheck that box. The next one, fname. Fname. What is the data type? The data type is nvarchar. So let's say nvarchar 100. Okay, they have a 50, the same thing, just highlight the 50 and type in 100. All right, allows null. Nope, we don't want it to allow null. The next one is middle initial. For our middle initial, we want that to nchar 1. Okay, allows null, yes, just keep that one right there. The next one is lname. Lname is nvarchar. All right, if it's not what you want, right, just click the drop down and look for nvarchar that is close to it. For now, we want it to be nvarchar 100, nvarchar 100. So we do the same thing. We don't want it to be nullable. Street. Street is nvarchar 50. That's what we want. We don't want it to be nullable. City is nvarchar 50. We also don't want it to be nullable. State is nchar 2. All right, so just put in our 2 and said not nullable. Then phone is nvarchar 15. You put a 15 in there, and then we want this to be null. All right, so we leave it in there. Okay, so that's it. We've created the first table, but before we leave, the ID is the primary key. So what we do is we highlight so you come to the left part of the columns, and then you highlight that, and then once you see this black triangle, just right click and say set primary key. All right, it sets it at the primary key and puts a key sign right next to it. All right, so it's the left side of the column. That's where you come to, you right click, and then you say set primary key. Okay, now that's the profile table, but you will ask, we've not actually written the name profile. Well, that's a good one, because if you look here, there's an X, there's an asterisk here. This asterisk is telling you that the table we are creating is called table_1, and the asterisk is telling you that it's not been saved yet. Okay, so let's go save that table. Watch this asterisk when I save the table. All right, we go to the diskette button on this toolbar that says save table 1. All right, so if you hover over it, it says save table 1. This is table_1. All right, so you say save. Once you say save, it tells you to choose the name of that table. Enter the name of the table. So right here is where you now write the name of the table, and we said the name is profile. All right, so by now, if we now click OK, that table is now profile. The DBO is what we call the schema name. I would explain what that means later on, but just know that it's like a container for that table, but it's not necessary right now. Just focus on the name of the table, its profile. Okay. Now, when we come to the table and expand it on the Object Explorer, you see we don't see any profile table. Okay, that's okay. Just go ahead and right click the table and just say refresh, and you see your table. Your table is right there. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to move really fast for the courses and employment. Now that you see how things work, so to do the course table, the same thing, right click, new table. All right, start with CRN int, and it's a primary key, so we don't want it to allow nulls. CNUM and varchar 10. Make sure that when you correct the digits in the parentheses, make sure the parentheses is still there. So take care when you are highlighting that you're not highlighting it with the parentheses. Okay, we said CNUM can be null, so that's fine. um, I'll keep the commentary to the bare minimum with these next two tables because CNAME, course name, why in the world did we use 200? I'm going to keep it at 50. The design says 200. I don't know a course name that will be longer than 50 characters, so I'm going to leave that as 50. We said it's not null. The days, um, I really don't know. The days is kind of dicey. Days, is it the date or is it the days? I'm going to keep it as date, okay, because if it's date, then we can derive anything. We can derive the day of the week, or we can derive the day number, or if it's Tuesday or if it's Wednesday from the date. So I'm going to keep it as date. All right, date, and we say it's nullable. The time, I'm going to keep as time. Normally, if I was designing this, I would just have one field, date time. That's all I'm going to have, date time. And then I can derive any other thing from that single field. So we're going to be time, and then we said is null also. And then the last one for course is room. Okay. And then we said this is nvarchar 25. We want it to be null also. Alright, don't forget, come to the left side, right click, set as primary key, go ahead and save and put in the name, courses, just like we have in the requirement. And then if you come to the student database again, come to the table in the student database, right click it, refresh, you have your second table, profile and courses. The next one is employment, same thing, come to the table in the student apartment, right click, new table. Alright, column name, empid, empid, want it to be an int, we don't want to allow nulls, emp name, and we want that to be an nvarchar 200. Alright, we don't want to allow nulls. Emp address. Emp address we said is nvarchar 50, and that can be null. That can be null, so let's just click allow nulls as yes. Emp city want emp city to be nvarchar 50 also, and then it can be nullable, so we leave it emp state. We said end state should be nchar2 because we want to force them to only put in the two names, the two abbreviations. All right, mphone, we are leaving at nvarchar 15. So we edit that, and we said it's not null because we want to know the employee stuff. So the same thing here, come here to the left side, set as primary key, go ahead and save, and then this is the employment. Okay, so we have the three tables. Again, you wouldn't see it the first time. Just go ahead, right click, refresh, and then you have the three tables: courses, employment, profile in your student database. All right, so we're good with that. So we've implemented this design, and currently those tables are empty right now. We've implemented this design. Okay, so the next thing is, let's pull up no, I wasn't going to pull up Word. Let's pull up the requirement document. Let's pull up the requirement document. So the rest of it says the next step is to connect this table. Oh no, it says populate each table with at least 10 entries. Okay, so this is how to populate the tables with the entries. Let me close all that. Let me close this. Step 2, which we have done. Step 2, create 3 tables. We've done that. Step 3, populate each table with 10 rows. Alright, to populate a table, you just come to the table you are talking about, right click that table, just say edit top 200 rows. Once you click edit top 200 rows, you will see that the name, let's start with the profile. That's more intuitive. Okay, so profile, you right click and you say edit, right click the table, check for the edit top 200 rows, and then it brings you to this editor. In this editor you see all your column names, yep, your column names, and then below it is an editable row. All right, so the first one, we said we wanted it to start with T0001. That's 5 characters. 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 4. I think we are missing one more 0. All right, so that's T 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 5. Sorry, we were right the first time. T is the first character. 1 2 3 4 5. All right, T001 is the first one. First name, let's just call this guy John M. Smith. He lives in 10 5 10, he lives in 10 5 Street. The city is I said the city is Richmond, just because that's the only city that is coming to mind right now. VA. Let's just look for a phone number for this guy. Okay, the next one, T. Oh, sorry. By the time I finished this first one, all I did was just press the tab key to be able to move to the next row. I'll demonstrate it in this next one. T0002, and this is, let's call this Shade. it doesn't have a middle initial, remember we can put null in the middle initial, and then let's call her Sade Bucknell. Okay, and they live in 209 Maryland Road, and this is also in Richmond, VA, and then the phone number 919-887-5567. And once it's here, the last one again, just hit the tab key, it moves it to the next row. All right, and then you go all the way down until you know you've 1 2 T 1 2 3 4 3. Let's call her Mary P David, and this lady lives in 34 5th Street in Richmond, also VA 8877, sorry, 888-885-9947 tab. All right, so just go ahead and fill that out the same way. All right, if you're gonna do this, once you're done, just close it. All right, now let's do for the courses is the same thing. Right click, edit top 200, CRN. Since I'm just gonna give it one course number. I don't know what this is. Like I said, you can look for, but I'm gonna hazard a guess and say CSC 101, and the course name is Computer Analytics. The days, I'm just gonna say I'm just going to say the days. I'm just going to put today's date. Let's say um, 03 24 2000 2019, and then the time I'm going to leave it null, and the room, just let's call this Jupiter. We're going to use Jupiter for the room. Right now we have an error. Let's go look at what the error is. Cannot insert null into the column time. All right, we must have said time should be not null. I thought I used null for time, but since it's not null, you know what? I'm just going to put 4. All right, so that's going to be 4. 4 is out of range. Must be 0 to 23:59. Okay, so let's just do 22:50. Okay, so you can see the error message will tell you what's going on. 2 MTH 204 203. Let's call this mathematics. I'm gonna say 03 10 2019. I'm gonna say 22:50, and this is Venus, and just tab also again. Let's go to the third one, employment. Right click, edit top 200 rows. Your text message just came in right now. It says, Mr. Benga, I should be home no later than 8:30 Eastern time. Can I call you on Skype at night? Okay. I don't think you need to call me, because you'll be able to go through this step by step. Emp ID, we said it was going to be, our emp ID is going to be integer. So let's start from, for the integer, for the emp ID, let's start from 100. So emp name, let's use Diego. emp name Diego Maradona. Okay, emp address 3355 Joy Lane in Enrico and VA and 888-999-6622. So once you're done, just press tab, go to the next one, 200, and let's make this guy, since we're going to with soccer names, let's just say Cristiano Ronaldo, and he lives in 23 Peace Ave Enrico VA 88 no 804 991 6631. All right, so let's just assume that we have gone with 10. You would have to go all the way to 10 each to satisfy the requirement, but I'm going to stop at all this right now so that we can go ahead to the next question. Okay, so we have three tables that we have data in them right now. If you want to view the data in those tables, just come to Profile, right click Profile. Instead of Edit, which we put data in the table, just say Select. All right, it tells you this is the data we just inserted in those table. All right, in the profile table, the same thing with the employment. Right click, select top 1000. All right, this is the data we just put in the table. You can see it in this result pane, and then you can see the code that gives rise to us asking for the data back from the table. All right, courses, the same thing. Just right click, select, you find the courses in there. All right, so let's go see what the next step is. The next step says, next step is to connect this table using the join command to create additional tables that convey information that a student is taking some courses and the student employer has one of the emp IDs that you have used. Thus, you will create two additional tables using the join command. Use suitable names for the join indicating what they do. Goal is for you to feel comfortable using. Finally, have to use at least 4 different queries on this table, including join tables that you create. Use the command select star from table name to list all the rows in each table. Remember that in this command, the table name must be specified by you. Clearly identify your output to show how it came about. Okay. All right. So they want you to create a table using the join command that conveys information that a student is taking some courses. Okay. If we want to use, let's go back to our design. Now, this design is not going to work. The design your teacher has given you is not going to work, okay? Because what he wants you to do is to create something saying that from your profile that a student is taking a course. Okay, now remember on Friday we did the whole student course thing, because if we go ahead and we what if we go ahead and we add a profile ID here, sorry, in this student table, and say that we want to add a profile a ID field here. to connect this guy and this guy. So don't let me confuse you. Let me just go to paint. So this requirement is not complete. The way the guy wrote it is not complete. So if you have your profile and then you have your courses, okay, you can't just join because one because what we are having here is a many-to-many situation, because one profile can take many courses and one course can be taken by many profiles. It's the same thing. Just go watch Friday's video. The first part of Friday's video would explain all this. So we need something that we can use to say a profile and then a bridge table and then a course. So we are not done. Okay, and in that way we can add our ID and then the what's the course CRN, ID and CRN as the primary key here, and then we now have the course. This is the only place that we can show that a student is taking a particular course. Okay, so that's what we are going to do. So we need to come back to our design and say that we need to create a profile course. So we need one more table. Sorry, we need one more table. I think this would make you really shine in this class, because I don't think people will think about it like that. Profile course. So just tell your teacher that the design is not going to work because you wouldn't be able to, because all you just need to explain to him is there's a many-to-many cardinality between profile and courses, because a profile is simply a student. Simply a student, all right? One profile can take many courses, and one course can be taken by many profile. All right, so you have a many-to-many between profile, and so you created your bridge table, and you are calling your bridge table profile course. And then profile course would have the same thing: name, data type, nullability. And then the name is going to be, the first one is going to be ID, and then the next one is going to be CRN. Okay, and these two are going to be the primary key. The data type is the same thing as this one, and the data type is the same thing as this one. Okay, no, what happened? Okay, so we have a brand new table that we need to go create. Profile course. So we get back to this guy, and we come to table, create, right click, new table, and then all we just need to do is to say ID, data type is nvarchar 5, not null, and then CRN is int and not null. Okay, and then both of them together. To do that, you need to come set this as primary key, and then set this as I mean both of them together set as primary key. So you need to hold the shift button down. Let me do that again. remove. All right, to be able to set both as primary key, you need to first click the first one, hold the shift button down, click the second one, make sure both are highlighted, still make sure you are clicking, pressing the shift button, right click, and then set as primary key. Both of them becomes the primary key of that particular table, and then just go ahead and save and then name it as profile course or courses, just the same way. And then we have our fourth table, profile courses. All right, let's go put data in that table. But to put data in that table, let's make sure that we know, because we want to make sure that I'm going to write a query that I don't need employment. I'm going to write a query that selects data from profile and select star from courses. Okay. Okay, so this is my two data, and then I'm going to close this. I want to insert data into profile courses, right click, edit. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to have vertical tab group so that I can see both at the same time. Okay, so ID, I want T001 to be able to take maths, yeah, 1, and I want T001 to also be able to take math and CSC. I want T002 to only take CSC, and then I want T003 to be able to take maths and CSC. Okay, so yes, what you will see is that I'm using the IDs that I have here to put them in the profile courses. Okay, now I have data in my profile courses, and I can say select 100, and then I have this data in my profile courses table. So let's go see what the question is that we should do. All right, let's bring up the, so it says next step is to connect these tables using the join command to create additional tables that convey the information that a student is taking some courses, and the student's employer has one employee ID that you have used. The student's employer has one employee ID that you have used. All right, so the first one is additional tables that convey the information that a student is taking some courses. Okay, we can show that a student is taking some courses by coming to the new student profile, the new course profile. So what we just do is select star from profile courses. We can say PC inner join courses, or let's first say inner join profile P, on PC dot ID equals P dot ID. Let's see what we have here. I'm looking for P dot star. Let's look at what we have here. Okay, so it tells me that yeah, it tells me that this guy, right? And then I want to inner join courses C on PC dot PC dot PC dot CRN equals C dot CRN. Okay, let's just do star first. Okay, so what this is telling me is, so what I can do here is say that select PC dot, no, select P dot first name, P dot last name, C dot CNUM, C dot C name. Okay, if we do this, so it will tell you that John Smith is taking 2 courses. Shade Bucknor is taking 1 course, and Mary is taking 2 courses. So John is taking 2 courses. Shade is taking only 1 course, and Mary is taking 2 courses. So this satisfies. So I'm going to copy and paste this query, and then this will be the query that this will be the one for student is taking some courses. Student is taking some courses. This is the query for that. I'm gonna copy this and just paste it in your Skype window, so you have that. Okay, so this is the first one. All right, I already pasted it in your Skype. So the next one is student's employer has one of the employee ID that you have used. Student's employer has one of the employee IDs that you have used. Again, we have to go back to design. Okay. Yeah, we have to go back to design. So student again is profile, and then employer. So profile, employer. Now I'm thinking one student can have one employer, and one employer can have many students. That's what I'm thinking. You know, one student can have one employer, but one employer can have many students. Okay, so if that is the case, what we have to do is we need to add. So this is how you would defend this one. You just say the cardinality between employer and the student is 1 to many. Okay, so if that is the case, then we need to come to our design and add an emp ID, emp ID here as the foreign key. Sorry. emp ID here as the foreign key, okay? And we can label it yellow, saying that it's a foreign key here, okay? And then what I'm going to put here is keys. Let's just say keys so that we don't confuse anybody. And we say for the keys, yellow is foreign key and blue, where's that blue? Yeah, blue is primary key. So we say primary key and this is foreign key. Okay, and let's just let's make this look pretty. Good job. All right, so everybody knows that the blue is the primary key, the yellow is the foreign key. Okay, so to be able to implement this one-to-many cardinality, right, we are going to use a foreign key in the profile table. So every student has a foreign key. All right, so in order to do that, we're going to pull up our students. Notice what happened. Now student has an extra field, an extra attribute of emp ID. Okay, so let's go do that. So student, which is the profile, we right click. What we are doing now is we want to add that um, extra attribute. So we come to design. After right clicking, we come to design and you see the lists that you already had before, and then you just add the emp ID int, and for now it's nullable. Okay, and let's just save. Okay, so we've saved this. Let's close it. If you now go look at your profile, click the plus sign and come to column. Columns is what you just changed. If you now open it up, you see that the emp ID is now in there. All right, now all we just need to do is to now look at, let me see the employers, or is it employment? Yeah, employment. Let me open up employment and see we have 100 and 200. So let's just give every one of our students an employer. All right, so right click the student profile and say edit, and you see that the emp ID is still null. So let's just give them random employment 100 and let's say 200. Okay, so for yours, just give them random employment based on the employee emp ID in your employment table. All right, okay, now that's fine. So let's go write that query also. Okay, so this is what we're going to do is we're going to say select this second query is the one for and the student's employer has one of the employee ID you have used. Student employer has employee ID. Student employer has employee ID. Okay, so note that we've talked about in class, we've talked about what these two dashes mean. This is just a comment. Okay, so this is not the code. The code is what I'm writing right now. So select star from profile P inner join employment E on P dot emp ID equals E dot emp ID. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna say um, we're gonna say P dot star comma E dot emp name. Okay, and when we run this guy, we see that John's employer is Cristiano Ronaldo, Sade's employer is Diego Maradona, Mary's employer is Cristiano Ronaldo. So John and Mary work in the same place, pretty much. Okay, I'm gonna paste that also in your Skype. And I think the remaining part is for you to just go ahead and write a report on how you have used the how you have worked with the database. Okay, so what you just need to do is go ahead and do exactly what I've done, and if you have any question you can call me. All right, good luck.